Welcome back to the Homestand Show. I'm Albert Vartanian, Justin Pooney, and joining us now is Michael Singh, Toronto FC and Canada Soccer beat reporter for Room 442 in the Homestand. How you doing, buddy?
We're kicking it. We're back. TFC
got
on the board.
I don't know what's going on. Something's going on at TFC. You got to give us some news.
Of course,
rumors going on or what?
The vibes are good right now. You know what the thing is? TFC and their media and their communication staff, they get to go on a plane today and get over to the nice California weather.
It's
right
nice,
here in Toronto. It's
But you
getting
get to
a
be
little
with
colder.
us. So,
Yeah,
between AV and Justin. What more do you want? All right, let's start with the rumors then. We want rumors?
Start with the juicy rumors.
So many different rumors, quote unquote, reports coming out surrounding Toronto FC. One TFC player in Lorenzo Insigne. There was a report out of Turkey that he was unhappy, or he is unhappy in MLS, and maybe he wants to go to Galatasaray to join a former teammate, Dries Mertens. Is there any truth to this?
No, I don't think this rumor in particular there's much legs to. I understand why there is so much trepidation based on the way that his career has started here with Toronto FC, right? And you know, when TFC came out, they announced that Lorenzo Insigne would be missing 3 to 4 matches. You see the uproar from TFC fans. There's not that love and admiration that he had here, or he had with Napoli, that's here in Toronto quite yet. So It hasn't been smooth sailing for Lorenzo Insigne here in Toronto quite yet, for a number of different reasons. So I understand why this rumor is getting the legs that it's getting. And hey, also the Dries Mertens link, like there is something to that. Like
It's so easy to piece that story together, though, right?
Exactly. Like him and Insigne are really good friends. I know TFC in the past, they wanted to get Insigne or Mertens and Insigne to come over. So I get it. But like you said, it's really easy to piece together.
Yeah, I feel like it's low-hanging fruit with Lorenzo Insigne, right? He's been injured, hasn't performed to what TFC fans have hoped and MLS fans have hoped. You see the glimpses of what he's capable of, but there's the frustration that it's just not happening at the moment. And I think a lot of people want to compare him to Sebastian Giovinco, obviously being Italian, being small, and being a DP who can do some damage. And he hasn't reached that yet. If your message to TFC fans would be what?
Well, I think stay patient with Lorenzo Insigne would be the biggest thing. I think when he has been on the pitch, he's performed really well. In 12, 13 matches, it's 6 goals, 2 assists, and a lot of those goals were absolute bangers for the club.
Yeah.
And when you look back at last season, obviously there was the personal issue that he went through, losing, his unborn child, which I can't personally relate to, but I can imagine how much that would rock you, especially in a new country across the world. Like there is something real to that. When you look at the way the end of the season played out for Toronto FC, there was a lot going on behind the scenes with Lorenzo Insigne. So now he came into this season, he had so much ambition, he was so ready to start this year on such a positive note. And then you have a muscle injury, which sets you back, 6 games now, we'll see it. So like, listen, muscle injuries happen. Injuries happen. It happens to every single player. I don't care how good you are, how in shape it happens. But the fact that it happened, Lorenzo Insigne at that point, that's just heartbreaking and crushing for him. So I'd say stay patient.
Now, he's been in and out of the lineup. He hasn't played much. What is Lorenzo Insigne's reputation, or what's he like in the locker room amongst other teammates? What's his relationship with Federico Bernardeschi like? What's he like in the locker room? Is he well liked, or what's the vibe around him?
Yeah, I can only speak on what I've been told in very brief amounts that I've been able to see, and I think this year in particular he seems to be acclimating to that dressing room a lot better than maybe there were times last season, right? And I think him and Federico Bernardeschi have now developed a pretty good relationship, to the point where they do hang out closely when it comes to training sessions and whatnot. So it is challenging when you have that language barrier. Federico Bernardeschi, for instance, his English is a lot better than Lorenzo Insigne, so he's able to communicate, and he also has like that little bit more lively
infectious personality.
Exactly. And it's not to say Insigne doesn't have that, but it comes across a little bit differently when you can't communicate the way that maybe he wants to communicate. So he's former captain in Napoli. He's a big presence. He's a guy who knows he's being paid a lot to be here, right? So with that comes some inevitable, I think, baggage, but at the same time, it's not, I think a lot of it, that speculation in terms of he's a bad teammate or whatever, I think that's overblown a little bit.
Yeah, that can't be underestimated too, right? Him being the captain of Napoli for as long as he was, being a key part of Italy when they won the Euros. This is a big time player, right? So it is frustrating, but I'm glad you brought up that point about his son. I'm not glad that it happened, but I mean, I think we forget sometimes that
Puts
these
into
are humans.
context
There's a human
that
element,
there's
right?
things that go on
If that
otherwise,
happened
yeah.
to one of us, we don't know what that's like, but it affect our job completely. It would affect our life day to day. Another rumor that's coming around is Sergio Busquets. This one's kind of been around for a while, but I just wanted you to I wanted you to touch on it. Who reported this? I have it here. Oh, it's Spanish outlet Mundo Deportivo saying TFC are one of the clubs that are interested in Busquets and quote unquote made an offer. Any truth to that?
I feel like I willed that rumor into the universe. I remember putting that out there a couple months ago where I mentioned that I think Sergio Busquets would be an absolute
It'd be
fantastic
incredible.
fit
Yeah.
for TFC. Obviously, Bob Bradley adores Sergio Busquets. He's talked about him in the past. And I think quality-wise, obviously, he would come into this TFC team and be their best midfielder. That being said, there's no truth to this, in my opinion. From what I've heard, TFC simply don't have that kind of money.
Right.
They don't have the financial backing to go out and get another player that's like a Lorenzo Insigne, that's like a Federico Bernardeschi. So yes, they do have an open DP slot, but that being said, they are somewhat limited in terms of the way that they can utilize that.
Imagine Busquets in the middle of TFC's midfield.
Best
at
team money
BMO.
could buy.
But you have to think. I mean, if he wants to come to MLS, you have a team like Inter Miami out there.
That's
That's
the
probably where you're
likeliest,
gonna go, right?
for
There's
sure.
also the reports of El Nasser in Saudi Arabia too that have offered him a big.
We're linked to El Nasser. Everybody's
Yeah, it's
linked.
true,
It's
that's true.
insane. Everybody's linked there. That's where the money is.
It is.
It's similar to what happened when, remember the Chinese Super League and they
Yeah.
had all that money? That's what's going on with El Nasser, which it might stay around a lot longer now, actually.
It's either Saudi or MLS right now. You see,
I know.
all these players are being linked to.
Okay, so TFC, they take on San Jose this weekend. Big game in terms of how this season has panned out so far, but they could be missing. I had thought it was originally 6 players. You mentioned they could be missing up to 9 players between injuries and call-ups to international break.
Yeah, exactly. So, we have the 4 Canadian guys who are gone: Ayo Akinola, Jonathan Osorio, Mark Anthony Kay, and Richie Larea. 4 very important pieces to this team. And then also Lorenzo Insigne. And then we have to throw in a guy like Adama Diomande into that mix, who should be their starting striker. So you can argue 6 starters. And we don't know the status of Shane O'Neill. We don't know the status of Christian Gutierrez. And then Thomas Romero is also on international to do their backup keeper. So you know what? Like, yeah, we're going through this. It's a lot. It's a mouthful of players. At the same time, though, this is a league-wide problem,
Yeah.
right? A lot of teams in MLS are going to be missing 7, 8, 9 players this weekend because, as we know, it's an international break. A lot of guys are representing their countries. You're missing a lot of players to call-ups and injuries. So TFC are not alone in this. That being said, you're going on the road. You're going to California, different time. It's a big ask.
So, Mike, let me ask you this. I mean, it's so frustrating that this international break is happening and how it affects MLS, right? And this is not new. This is something that's been going on. Bob Bradley spoke about it. It's frustrating. It's obviously nothing you can do about it. But how do you fix this? Because it's an issue, right? There's a major soccer league, professional soccer league going on during this international break, while all the other professional leagues take a break.
Well, you know what? Not all the professional leagues take a break. The Premier League and the big La Liga.
The major ones, the top 5, yeah.
Yeah, but then, League 2 or League 1 or EFL Championship, they don't take breaks during this international break. So it's not like MLS is the only league in the world that's doing this, but a lot of MLS's players are tied to CONCACAF nations. Whereas you look at Europe, a lot of those players are tied to the legs of England, and, teams are likely not going to crack into. So MLS does have a unique problem there. They're in a unique situation. The reason why there's not a mandated break here by MLS is because they have the Leagues Cup in the summer, which is a new tournament that they're taking a month off of their season.
Right.
So they have to find a way to sort of compensate for that. So you know what? Like, I know this game in particular will be seen as an issue. I'm not that torn up over it.
The MLS is kind of an issue amongst the league, that the season is too long. It's sort of like middle of February till fall.
Yeah, November.
Is that something that the MLS needs to work on, try to condensing their schedule, because it is a very long year, because it's a quick turnaround and then you're back at basically spring training, winter training.
Spring training. Yeah. Shout out the Jays.
Yeah,
eh?
shout out to the Jays,
9 days away, 8 days away. But no, yeah. I think soccer leagues around the world are all like that. They have what you look at the Premier League, for example, they get June and they get July off and they're back in August. MLS, you're going to get December, you're going to get January off, you're back in February. I don't think it's a unique issue to MLS, just to shortly answer your question.
Yeah, the turnaround in soccer is so quick. I mean, even when the Premier League or major European leagues stop, within a month, maybe even less than that, they're already back in preseason.
It feels a lot
Training.
shorter because of the World Cup,
Yeah,
too,
that's true,
right?
too.
Yeah, throw a World Cup thrown in there. Okay, they're taking on San Jose. TFC obviously not in the greatest run of form. San Jose not bad at home. They haven't lost at home yet. How do you see this game playing out with all of these players missing as well?
Yeah, I mean, well, San Jose is going to be missing a lot of their players, too. They're only going to have one DP in their lineup, and that's Christian Espinoza. But they do have some attacking threats in Mbobasi, and then you have Cade Cowell as well. So, I could see goals being played,
Bet the over?
Bet the over.
bet the over in this one. I think
love
so,
that.
just because of the fact that you have a lot of San Jose players that can press TFC's back line. TFC are still capable of finding the back of that when you have Bernadeschi and DeAndre Kerr up there. It's gonna be it's tough to make a prediction for this game because there's so many players, but I do see goals in this one.
All right, bet the
All
goals. I was looking at this stat. I mean, TFC's win over Inter was their second win since August 27th. That's 2 wins in 11 games. That's a hell of a stretch, Mikey. Right? I talked to you last week about Bob Bradley and like his leash, but I feel like if that was any other manager that went through that, he might not have a job. But we talked about this, and I get it, right? This is a long-term plan. This is a project, but that is a crazy run of games.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and that's why that win against Inter Miami was so important for this team, because you had a lot of players that were on last year's roster that haven't felt the taste of victory for months. So for them to go out there and get that victory, it does a lot for the locker room. It's a long time without a win, but there's a lot of circumstances during that. So
Yeah, I thought the atmosphere was great too for that game. Did
It
you
was.
feel you were there? But
yeah,
It was
cold.
freezing. Freezing.
he was
you know,
there
he
too.
was there. He's cold. Mikey Singh, thank you so much for coming
course,
on.
guys.
TFC taking on San Jose this weekend.